Thank you all for being here. It's good to see everybody. It's good to see a lot of new faces in here, and I feel like our room is filling. This is amazing. This month, we are talking about foreclosure and short sale, which is a very exciting topic to me as a wholesaler and somebody that deals with this stuff all the time. And we have Tien and Christian here today, who are two super sharp investors, wholesalers in this area. They know a lot about foreclosure and short sale, so I'm excited to have them here, friends of mine. And we're going to talk a little bit about it. We encourage you guys to ask questions. Again, raise your hand, wait for the mic so we can capture that audio. But without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. We'll do a quick intro of Grid. We'll do a quick intro of the leadership and our guests. And we've got so many people in the room tonight. Maybe we'll just, if anybody has a deal or they're looking for something, they need a resource, we'll take a minute to just bounce around the room with a couple people if you guys have things that you're looking for specifically. We're not going to do normally we introduce everybody, but since there's so many people, we're running a couple minutes late. We're going to skip that portion, okay? So what is Grid? Grid is a community. We're here bringing as many people together locally into this room to share opportunities, resources, relationships. We're all doing business together. A lot of us are flipping houses together. We're sharing opportunities. Aaron's helping everybody buy a short-term rental right now. Gage is fixing everybody's property and building cabins and doing lots of cool stuff. So the more people that we can bring into this room together collectively, the more power we have here in the Shenandoah Valley, the more deals we can do, the more, people we can serve in our community. So thank you all for being here. We're really excited. Obviously, we're investors. We're not gurus. We're just here talking and bringing people together to talk about real estate, right? So do your own due diligence. If you guys are buying deals or whatever, we're happy to help you and give you our knowledge and resources. But we encourage you guys, we're not trying to act like we know everything. We're just here bringing people together. Obviously, we have our community here locally, but we also have a large community nationwide with chapters popping up like once a month or a couple times a week. It seems like there's a new, I don't know what the newest ones, if you guys remember. Chicago just opened up. They're popping up all over the country. So if you guys are interested in doing deals in other markets, Grid is not only here for you in the Shenandoah, but it's also here wherever you want to invest. Reach out, go to gridinvestor.com, check out what other locations, what other markets we have resources in. You guys connect with people in other markets. You have the same community there. You've got a great leadership. They're very selective with who they choose to lead those communities. High performing real estate investors, agents, whatever. So connect with those other communities as well.
The closest one to us right now is brand new, actually. It's Harrisonburg.
Harrisonburg just opened up last month or 2 months ago.
2 months ago. Yep.
Of course, we've got a few locally. The main hub in Reston, and there's one in Woodbridge, Richmond, but they're really spreading across the country and trying to make this thing global at some point. I don't know. We haven't quite reached that point. So we'll go ahead and introduce ourselves. Gage, go ahead and start.
I'm Gage. I own and operate the Envision Group. It's all just investor service. So we've got building materials, supplies. Our facility is in Winchester for Design Center and all of the material needs for the projects. We're buy and flip, we're buy and hold, we partner and do flips for you. We're any step of the process that helps the investor. And we're doing a lot of turnkey portfolio type STR micro resorts or standalone cabins. So we really understand the whole process where we can get you the education and the tools to do really about anything, it seems like these days. So we're anywhere from acquisitions to property management at the end if we need to be, but construction is our major forte.
Cool. Aaron Kavanaugh, I've been a real estate agent for about 25 years now. Can't believe it. Specifically in the short-term rental business since COVID. What we saw during COVID is a lot of, Easterners, Northern Virginians drive out this way, get away from the COVID, live and work from their home, and then rent it while they were, not there. Now that business is actually turning a little bit. Some of those people are now selling off their properties because they're not as profitable as they wanted them to be, but they didn't use it the right way. They passively invested, right? And now we are really focused in. The business has changed as far as short-term rentals. You have to be hands-on. You have to be knowing the market, knowing what you're doing, and really being in the hospitality business versus just a passive income.
So my name is Christian Ramirez. I'm the head of acquisitions for Forever Home Buyers. We're a real estate investment firm in the Northern Virginia, DC, Maryland area. We fix and flip properties. That's really kind of like our bread and butter. But outside of that, we do have a growing rental portfolio as well. We have a couple new constructions there under our belt, and we do also some wholesaling here and there. So once we're at capacity with how many projects we're buying, we're right now doing between 3 to 5 flips every single month that we're buying. Once we kind of reach that capacity, then we'll actually go ahead and wholesale other deals that we come across and maybe just don't fit our criteria, or we just can't take on. But, yep.
Cool.
My name's Tianne Cotter. I own a company called She Buys Homes, and we are in Northern Virginia. We do stuff in Montgomery and Frederick County, Maryland, and it's me, and I've got 2 assistants that help me, and we do fix and flips, wholetailing, some wholesaling. Got a rental portfolio of sub-2s and burrs that I've collected over the years. Do some property management, but similar to Forever Home Buyers, my bread and butter is fixing and flipping. And yeah, if I'm at capacity and I can still make money on just wholetailing the deal or wholesaling it, then I'll unload it. Got an awesome contracting crew that I've been working with for about 10 years. So we're just one happy family at She Buys Homes, and we love helping distressed sellers.
Awesome. And I'm Mike Cappello. I own and operate Sell Simply, which, like these guys, do mostly I wholesale. I try and keep myself out of the fixing and flipping business when I can. We do some fixing and flipping. We also have some rental properties, creative finance, wholesale, fix and flip, do a little bit of everything in the investment space. We do a lot out here in the Shenandoah Valley, also, wherever the opportunities present themselves, and we're looking at expanding a little bit into Richmond and a couple other markets as well. But primarily Northern Virginia, Shenandoah are the markets that I play around in with the wholesale business. So, okay. We can, I wanted to just see, because I talked to a couple people that had maybe deals that they wanted to talk about. If anybody has anything that they're looking for, or any wins from the last month that maybe somebody wants to share, we'll open it up for like 5 or 10 minutes. If anybody has anything.
I got a couple of deals. Thank you. Perfect. I got 2 rental properties in the Warren County area. They're currently on the market. They're ready to be sold. I can get all the details on the leases and the rent that's coming in if anybody wants to talk after.
Cool. Tenant occupied?
Tenant occupied, yes,
Okay.
both.
Cool. Anybody looking for rentals? Go ahead, Luke. Thank you.
I have a potential flip.
Introduce yourself, please. Sorry, I forgot that part.
Luke Miller. I've got a potential flip in Fauquier County, Bealton. If anybody is interested, it's a heavy rehab, not good for someone just starting out, but I'll sell it to you cheap.
Love it. Anybody else?
Hi, my name is John. I work for a local roofing company, Roof Simple. We're looking to diversify into commercial. Our buy box is storage, multifamily, and potentially mobile home parks. And if you need a new roof, I can help you out with that too.
Nice. Cool. Love it. Anybody else? Any wins? Anybody?
My name is Mike Rams. I got a win. Bought me a 10-unit property.
Hey. All right. Is that your first multifam, Mike?
No.
I know you got a ton of single fams.
I got tons of everything.
You got a ton of everything. All right. Mike's just loading up over
Where was
here.
that property?
What's that?
Where was that property?
Williamsport, Maryland. So I basically go north. I live in Winchester. All my stuff is basically north. That's why I'm coming down here. I want to see how you guys do things.
Stealing all of our secrets.
Southerners.
All right. Anybody else? Okay. I know we had some other wins in this room. I'll let it go. All right. Don't sue us. I said it earlier. We're not attorneys. We're not accountants. Do your own due diligence. We talked about filming. If you don't want your picture taken, exit or whatever. Okay, topic of the day. I was going to introduce Christian and Tien, but they already introduced themselves. So let's just jump right into it. Why does this topic matter? Foreclosure and short sale, right? Where do most of your opportunities come from? Would you say?
I'd say foreclosures.
Foreclosures, right? Like, as a wholesaler, as somebody that's been in this business for whatever, 5 years, 10 years, there's no better outward sign of a distressed property owner than foreclosure. We know it, we know there's a date, we know there's a time, we know there's distress, right? So we target those. Most wholesalers, most investors target those properties because we know that there's distress. You can look at a property from the outside and see, you know, the windows are broken and the roof's caving in and whatever, and somebody may just be happy as a clam living in there. But somebody's in foreclosure, like, they've got a timeline that's going to run out. They're going to lose their property, or they're going to sell it to somebody like us who's got means to figure these types of situations out. So I don't love that slide. Let's talk a little bit about short sales. Who here, is anybody in the room, aside from these two, know what a short sale is or executed a short sale? 1, 2. Okay, most of us do not. Can we talk a little bit about what a short sale is?
So a short sale is basically where you owe more than the property's worth. So the property's underwater, and the lender is basically, are you going to work with the lender? And I feel like I'm going to get too far into it.
No, let's go.
The property's underwater, so the seller's behind on payments, and they basically, let's say they owe $100,000. The house is worth $50,000. They're in a short sale position. You're shorting the sale of the property.
Right. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, short sale is one step better than foreclosure on your credit score. So at least you've tried to remedy the problem, right? So there are several ways to remedy the problem if you're in this type of status. First is deed in lieu, right? So you're going to basically sign over the property back to the lender so they can take care of it. Some of them don't want the property back, but that's where the short sale comes in. You put the house on the market, you get the best possible offer. The seller and the bank are now talking about what's the way out versus, you know, I as the agent am trying to help that buyer get the property, and then we're going to do fix and flip, we're going to renovate, we're going to do whatever. But the biggest thing is getting that seller out of the position that they're in. Right now there isn't as many short sales as we've seen in the past. Go back to 2008, everybody was a short sale. Today, most people have equity or very low interest rates, so there are other options prior to, but some people just don't even talk about it. They get into it, they bury their head in the sand, and they don't understand, I can get out of this by having somebody like Mike or me or Gage come on and just say, hey, I got a solution for you. So if you hear anybody that's got a problem, call us. We can help for free, right?
Yeah. I will say I think that short sales are starting to come back a little bit because of the COVID moratorium, that people were getting the extensions, and then after that, they were filing for bankruptcy. And if there's 2 people on a deed, you can file for bankruptcy 3 times per person. So now they're even further in debt. So I'm kind of seeing a little more of them pop up, but you're right, it's not as much as the '08 crisis, but I think they are coming back. And then the other thing too is, if you're not an agent and you're not licensed, but you still want to, work on that short sale, I mean, you can do it from the investor side, of course, where you act as a third party and you are now talking to the lender directly, and leave the seller out of it because they've got too much going on. So you get third party authorization from the seller, and you just go talk to the lender or the institution, whoever's got that loan, and then you start negotiating on their behalf.
Does everybody understand that? I think we need to double tap on that, because this is really what I want to talk about when it comes to short sale. How are we as the investor, whether we're licensed or not, how are we playing the short sale game, right? It's one thing if you're licensed and you list the property as a short sale, you help the seller out. Great, that's one avenue to go. But as the investor,
Right.
how are we capitalizing on these types of situations as the investor? Can you?
Do you want me to?
How are you guys?
Yeah. So when I'll just use kind of like an example that we just had right now. We actually just got a short sale approval, I think like 2 days ago. So that one, we've been working on that one since.
Just speak up.
Oh yeah. So,
Big room.
yeah. I'll just use an example that just literally popped up. I think about 2-3 days ago. I can't remember the timeline, but we've been working on the short sale since December. So this homeowner, they bought this property, I think for like about $97,000 or $100,000, I forgot, back in like the 1990s. He had it almost paid off about 7 years ago. He got a divorce, left the property in charge to his ex-wife. She's like, look, he's like, I paid off almost everything on it. Just finished paying it off. She didn't make a payment for 7 years, right? This is in Maryland, where you can do that, right? But my point is, so we came in, the loan at this point was upside down. I think the balance that he had was like around $350,000. ARV on this property is like $430,000, right? So that doesn't work. Property is distressed. I mean, it was completely, messed up and everything. So we came in, we sat down with him, kind of went over the options. We're like, we can't list the property, right? We have an in-house agent we work with, but that's not an option. Nobody will buy it that high. So the last option was just really the short sale. So what we did is, we kind of broke down for him the process, how this is going to work. This is better than him going into foreclosure because he's already going into foreclosure. And what we did is, so we got basically the property under contract there with him directly. And then we have our in-house agent that he actually began the short sale process. And now we're actually in a position to buy this property for like about, I think, we got the approval for about $180,000, I believe, right? So that right there, now we have a property that has numbers that do make sense, right? For an investor like us, that's a fix and flip all day, right? You see the spreads there, 180,000, ARV 430. I think the house only needs like 80,000, 90,000 of work. But yeah, so I think that's the huge benefit.
Did you also have to work with the bank? The woman, the wife wanted to sell, I guess, but you just can't throw a number out there. Doesn't the bank have to agree with that number?
Oh no, so the wife actually passed away. And then he was just left with the house now.
Who's your deal? Who are you talking to?
The
bank
husband.
Or the person who owned the property?
No, we worked with the husband first. We explained to him the situation, but once we kind of began the short sale process, it was really going back and forth with the bank.
Oh, so you were talking to the bank directly?
Correct, yeah. So just like Tian mentioned, that third-party authorization, that's what we went ahead and got from the seller to go ahead and be able to work directly with the bank. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you maybe break it down, like a pitch, A, to the seller, and then B, once you have that third-party authorization, what does that conversation look like with the lender? How are you justifying the price, your fee, everything?
From a real estate perspective, there's certain things that have to go along with this, okay? So the bank is going to require you to show your tax returns. That's just like them looking at a lending or a buying situation. You have to show... The seller is going to have to go to their lender and say, here are my tax returns, here's my distress, whether it's health, job loss, some kind of situation that's causing them to not make the payments, okay? So they're gonna have to do that up front. Once you have that, there is a form they sign. I want Christian to work with us to finalize the deal. So now Christian and Tien have the ability to talk to the bank about numbers, right? But in between all that, before they even start the process, you as the owner of that house have to say, I'm going to this route, right? And then they have to provide the tax return, all the financial documentation to prove that they can't make the payments any longer.
And it depends too also on the lender. Sometimes there's lenders that are very aggressive, that if there's a foreclosure auction date, sometimes they're willing to stop it and postpone it and work with you. Sometimes they're not. So it really depends on the situation. And if they're not, then you kind of got to get creative and look at other options there for that seller. But you always gonna. No, I was saying you always have to figure out how to stop that auction date more than anything as well.
Yeah, and I think like lenders are not in the business of buying properties, selling them. They're in the business of making loans. So like what Aaron was saying, they want like a short sale package basically. So they want your tax returns, they want a letter, a hardship letter, thank you. And the other thing as an investor going in and working with the seller and also working with the lender, you want to break down exactly what it's going to cost to fix that property. Yep. So you don't just go in and say, oh gosh, lender, this is going to cost $50,000. Well, are you going to put a $50,000 gold bathroom into a house and now what you're doing, you're adding more value than what it would actually ever be worth? Or are you going to sit there and say, windows are damaged, septic system needs a new D-box, or roof is broken, there's poop, sorry, what can I say? Feces on the floor, like this house needs everything, and you break that down, and then feces, we love that. That means gold. Okay, that's the smell of gold. But so sorry, it's true though. But but you want to break that down so you're not just throwing a number out there. They want to see, oh my gosh, we really don't want to take this back. And then going back to what Christian said about the going into foreclosure. Well, now they've got extra attorney fees. Now they're still holding on to the property. It's going to cost them time and money to continue and go through that foreclosure. And it's like, if they're already underwater, let's just sell this now and come to some sort of agreement. Mm-hmm. And then the realtor comes in, like Christian said, you've got that, because as an investor, the lender wants to check the boxes. They want to make sure you're not just going there and, hey, we're just going to try to lowball the lender. Like, they want to have some sort of like third party who is the realtor he was talking about. So you have that realtor list the property, but you're the buyer. But that's kind of like them checking their due diligence, the lender checking their due diligence boxes. And the other side to that too is when you're working on these short sale things, find a good appraiser. Yes. Yeah, because you want to get that appraisal as low as possible. That way you can then make an offer maybe a little lower than the appraisal. Like, that's kind of the goal. And then when you're talking to the bank about, hey, this is what this property is actually worth fix up, this is what's going to take to get there, don't give them the actual, I don't know if I can say this, but like maybe take that ARV a little lower, and just say, hey, this is what it's conservatively worth when it's all fixed up, so that you're just giving yourself the best chance to get that property at the best value. And I think short sales are kind of the hidden gem. Yes, foreclosures are great. Sellers are motivated in both situations, but the short sales, I think, they're a little more work in the sense of you've got to talk more with the lender and get that approval and all these other things, but you can get a really good deal like what they clearly have, right? Like, you're going to make well over 6 figures in that deal. So there's that whole piece to it.
In this case, so let's real quick, like the levels of distress, right? So if you can't make the payments any longer, the first thing that you can do is what? Call them on the phone. Say, I'm no longer able to make the payments. Do you want to take the house back? They start dinging your credit when you start not making payments, right? That's the first step. So if you call them and say, the easiest part on my credit right now to save my credit is going to be deed in lieu. They'll take back the property at what most of the value, right? The next step is short sale. If it's in distress, that's when these guys come in, right? So you can't, you need some renovations or whatever, they're willing to work with you because they don't, like she said, the banks don't want the property back. They're not in the business of that. And it costs them a lot of money on top of it with attorney's fees to foreclose on somebody. All right, and then the last option is I'm just gonna wipe my hands, walk out the door, and that's foreclosure, right? And that's the worst on your credit. It takes 7-8 years for you to rebound from that. You can't do anything, right, with your credit. So how is your credit affected by each step in the way, right? So when we're talking about distressed sellers, we see them all the time. What's your first option? Deed in lieu. Are you willing to do that? As an agent, I can help them with that, point them in the right direction, teach them about it, but I can't really help, right? Call the lender, ask them about deed in lieu, they'll sign the paper or whatever, go from there. I actually had one last year. This lady bought a parcel of land. We walked it. It was a seller financed opportunity. She couldn't build on it, didn't have the money to continue to pay. So I told her deed in lieu, give it back to the seller. The seller didn't want it. So she fired me and hired another agent. They went and lowered the price and sold it, which is what they needed to do. But I was already 8 months in the game, so I'm like, just take it, go. Yeah, but anyway, long story short, if you're talking to a seller that is distressed, their options are deed in lieu, short sale, foreclosure. Down here is when it's really bad.
Anybody have any other questions about process? Luke, you have? Go ahead.
You can tell me to shut up if you want, but like this is the reason why I came. So to like, maybe you could describe what a perfect short sale opportunity is. Does there have to be like house distress, like shit on the floor, stuff like that? Or is it like, I see a ton of opportunities where someone bought it in 2023, loan balance is high, now it's underwater, like something super clean like that. Is that an opportunity?
It depends on the seller.
Well, higher distress definitely helps.
Yeah.
For opportunity,
Yeah.
for our opportunity.
House distress or personal distress?
House distress.
House distress.
Condition of the property will make a deal versus they're just underwater, the house is in beautiful condition.
Yeah.
You know, you may still be able to get a short sale approved, but there's not going to be spread there because the lender's not going to take a much lower offer on a house that's in good condition. They're going to maximize. They're going to get an appraisal back that says, you know, this house is worth, you know, it might be worth less than what they owe, but they're not going to approve a big gap in an offer price.
Yeah.
Whereas if the house is really distressed, now we can bring in a contractor. Now we can, you know, massage the numbers a little bit and say, well, you know, but there's issues with the roof, there's issues with the foundation, whatever, there's shit on the floor. Like, that's what's going to drive the price down for the lender.
Yep.
And
Oh, I want to also add to another good identifying factor too is you want to try your best as possible to make sure that you're only dealing with one lien or one mortgage on the property.
Sure.
That makes your life so much easier.
Good point.
Just dealing with one mortgage or one lien, right? Because if there's multiple liens on the properties, multiple mortgages, you're going to be negotiating with, I mean, 2-3 different lenders. And that, I mean, you get an approval with one lender, congratulations. Other lenders still waiting, going back and forth with you. So that kind of, you know, delays the process a ton. So.
Yeah, you asked about distress. Like, I've seen people that got in a car accident and are not able to work, disabled, or cancer in their family. Their you know, medical bills are out of control. You know, there's a lot of things that happen. Loss of a job, all these things. You could get out of it, but it depends on the equity that you have, right? So if I get into this position, I have $250,000 in equity in my property right now, I'm probably just going to sell it, right? Save me the heartache of all going through this. But if I lost the ability to work and I was so close on the value of my mortgage, like some of these guys that have VA loans or FHA loans where they're low down payment and they just bought the house, then they lose their job, they don't have that equity, right? So just be careful. And the different government loans, that's why they have mortgage insurance. So they're you know, it's just, you got to ask a lot of questions when you're getting into that circumstance.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I do want to add on the mortgage insurance thing. I mean, lenders too, right? If they have to sell their property for less than what's owed, the mortgage insurance actually will cover a portion of their loss too. So that's another negotiating kind of tool you can use.
Yeah.
So my question was, as far as your acquisition percentages, what percentage of it are these type, the short sales?
I mean,
I hate them. I stopped doing them.
It's a lot of work.
It's more than work. I
Yeah.
found the banks to be painful and not easy. But that also leads me to, it is an untapped market, right? That most people feel like me and say the juice isn't worth the squeeze. So I'm curious, if you're having success with it, what percentage of your acquisition is that?
You guys go ahead, and then I want to touch on that too, but percentage of deals.
Maybe like 5-10%. I would say.
yeah.
Not a lot.
It's
yeah.
not a lot.
Mine's the
Like
same.
when we get a short sale, like we lock it up, we start the process, and honestly, we forget about it. I'll be honest with you. I mean, if it comes back, great, it's a banger deal. If it doesn't, I mean, okay, it is what it is,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and a lot of them too. I mean, I have found personally, like I'll work on them, and you do so much work. And oh, by the way, there's also someone called a short sale negotiator who I have now started using. So I don't have to do any of that because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And she can do it, and she can get paid if it happens and goes through. But yeah, a lot of them, like, we do all this work, and then next thing you know, you find out, oh, they just don't want to do it because maybe the homeowner has just taken advantage of the situation and they've filed for bankruptcy 5 or 6 times, and the lender's just like, screw you, so
A lot
there's
of
that
times it
too.
comes down to the seller's capacity to execute on some of this stuff too, and they're already distressed, and we've helped them stop a foreclosure, and then they're just happy living there for another 3 months, and they stop providing paperwork, and they don't fill out the forms.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, to your point, it is, it's a pain in the ass a lot of the times, but to Tien's point, which is what I was going to say, is there are companies out there or individuals out there that will take that piece off. So what I do is I'll lock it up.
Yeah.
I'll send it to the short sale team and say, you guys see if you can do something with this. Cool. I'll wait around. If something happens, great. If not, I haven't had it, maybe I've spent a couple days working on it, but I've gone down the path, just like I'm sure they have, of doing it myself, like you have probably, and it's a nightmare.
Everybody's
Yeah.
For
It's
sure.
terrible.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
They all know what they're doing now, right? Back in 2008, we've never seen anything like that happen in the real estate market. They had no idea. We can't do that. We're not supposed to do that. We already sold that loan, so it just wasn't happening. I actually went to federal court for a case. This was an interesting one, real quick. So the seller was a mortgage lender. He was doing really well. He bought a house with cash in the Outer Banks. He packed up his stuff here in Middleburg, Virginia, or Waterford, Virginia, moved into the other house and just kind of walked away. Never responded to the bank. 3 years went by. 2006, 7, 8, something like that. And then I got a call from somebody that said, hey, I want to buy that house. Do you know? And so I started making the call. Who do I know in the chain? I knocked on the door. There's the sign with the servicer of the property. And so I started calling, got that. And then I wound up involved with this lady, the short sale negotiator. And I'm not saying everyone is bad, but she was bad. Literally went to jail for 20 years and tax evasion and all this shit because that bad.
That's a different kind of bad.
75 cases of her and her title company partner where so when you buy a short sale as an investor, you're supposed to use your money, okay? And then you have the end user buyer come and pay you on a separate transaction. She was fudging the paperwork to make the deal the money come from the buyer. Never did it the right way. The title companies did the whole thing. Lots of trouble. I got the call from the FBI going, ooh, it's not me, all right? And I was freaking out. Just be aware, short sales are not as prevalent as they were in 08. There are opportunities there, but there has to be distress. So just, look for the same thing that these guys are talking about.
I think the comment I was going to make is that I think, yes, it helps if the property's distressed, but one thing that the banks want is hardship on the part of the seller. The seller can't just say, oh, this property is worth less than what I owe on it. I've got, $100,000 in the bank, but I'm going to short sale my property. That ain't going to fly. So it has to be a hardship. There's medical bills, they've lost their job, there's, the property is distressed and they can't get for it what they, need to. Those things all play into it, but there has to be a hardship.
And they also may put a personal loan on that individual for any differences. So if you come in and buy the house, the example you used was you buy it for 50 and the thing is worth 100, they may want you to pay 25 grand back on an unsecured loan. So just be aware of, who you're negotiating with and how much you can not have to pay afterwards if you're in that position.
That reminds me of one other question. What is the status right now of a seller owing income tax on the difference of that? During 08, 09, 10, that was waived by the government. There was no income tax owed. Do they owe it now? As far as I know, all that expired. So a seller could potentially owe income tax on that difference.
Yeah, so that's considered income. So there is a possibility that they are taxed on that. Yeah. They want to keep you from doing it is really anything that they can do to keep you from doing that is really what it comes down to.
Okay.
How do we get
I want to
more?
pivot a little bit. Sorry.
How do we get more of them? Yeah.
So any other questions around short sale? I want to talk a little bit about the foreclosure process as well, but there is a lot to unwrap with short sales, right? There's good opportunities. You know that there's a lot of work that's involved. Identify the opportunity and also know when to walk away, I think is the main takeaway. But does anybody have any other questions? I don't know if there's process questions. We can kind of go back to the process a little bit if it's unclear. I feel like maybe we didn't quite. We're good? Okay. So I want to shift over to foreclosure, right? Yes, short sale and foreclosure often go hand in hand. But I want to talk about the foreclosure opportunity in a silo. We talked a little bit about how many short sales are deals you're doing, but how many foreclosure deals do you think you guys are doing on average? Or how many opportunities do you think are foreclosure related, if you had to just venture a guess?
I mean, mine's almost 100%. It's like all I do is foreclosures. Even my listings are foreclosures. Everything's a foreclosure, pretty much.
Yeah, ours is a little bit more higher. Let's say like 60%.
Yeah. So let's talk through the foreclosure process as it kind of unravels with the seller. What happens? What do the timelines look like? What are like the key points in time? And then we can talk a little bit about how we can service those. Can you guys jump in and just explain a little bit about kind of the timeline and the process? What happens when a property goes into foreclosure? We know that somebody has stopped paying their mortgage. What is that gap? How many months is that period typically?
Typically, I mean, what I've seen is 3 months. They miss like 3 payments basically, and then they start initiating that foreclosure process. And Virginia's a third-party state, so the lender doesn't actually foreclose directly on the borrower. They hire an attorney who's that third party to foreclose on the borrower. And they start that process. Depending on the attorney, they've got to post a foreclosure for a couple weeks minimum publicly, but some attorneys do it months in advance. There's a couple attorneys I know who do it within a couple weeks. So you've got to always be looking for those sales through these attorneys. And before they initiate that, so homeowner, they're going to turn into a seller. The homeowner misses 3 months of payments. The lender reaches out to the attorney and says, hey, we need to begin the foreclosure process. At that point, what's substitute trustee filing is filed in the land records. That indicates that a foreclosure is coming. And then from that point, the seller is notified, although homeowners notified, although they should be notified after missing their first payment, right? Like your going down the wrong path here, but sometimes they just don't care. And then from that point, they start publicly posting, hey, this foreclosure is coming up with X date, X time, here's the courthouse, whatever county the house is in. And I mean, really, your goal as an investor is to reach out to that homeowner as soon as possible, as many times as possible within reason, because all of us are in this room and there's thousands more who all want that house. So it's very competitive, especially in Northern Virginia. So you have to just really stay on top of it. I don't know if you want to add what happens after you reach out to the homeowner and...
Yeah, I mean, once you finally are able to get a hold of somebody, right, that's also part of the process. I mean, you kind of just have to, that's where you kind of put your problem-solving hat on, and you kind of got to figure out and assess the situation as a whole, right? I mean, we obviously understand that this person is in some type of financial distress. I mean, they're not paying their mortgage right. But, now you got to start sitting down with them and actually crunching numbers and figuring out, okay, what's left on the mortgage? I mean, how many mortgages do you have, or how many lines of credit? Like, you got to find everything about the property. It's good that if you're able to obviously see the property as well. I know sometimes, if sellers are like out of state or stuff like that, or it's a rental property or something, right? It might become, more difficult, but you want to do your best to actually be able to put eyes on the property, and get a gauge of the condition for it as well, right? I mean, if it's in distress and it's, the property's like, messed up and has issues going on, that's a plus, right? Doesn't necessarily mean it's still not a deal, right? Because I mean, it could still be a good potential rental, right, or something like that. But yeah. So once you sit down with them, I mean, you got to figure out like where they're at. Like, what is it that in my head the magical number is like, okay, cool. If we're able to come in and potentially help you purchase this property before the auction date. And sometimes these things are coming up fast. Like I know Tien said, sometimes weeks, but I mean, sometimes when you get a hold of somebody, it could be like 2 weeks out, or maybe a week out, or 2 days, right?
Yeah.
2 days and something. You never know when you're finally going to get a hold of somebody. So you got to, like figure out everything and understand their situation. And the magical question I always like to know is, like, okay, cool. If we're able to come in and help you with this, I mean, how much are you looking to walk away with net after everything's said and done? Like your loans are paid off, everything. What are you looking to take home, right? And then based off of that, that's where you kind of figure out, okay, do I have a deal here? Can I make something happen? Or, I mean, maybe they're in a position where they're asking too much. And then if the property's in good condition, then you can go also the listing route as well, right? So, yeah.
I'm going to take a step back. Does anybody have questions about the foreclosure process, how the foreclosure process works?
How do you find them? I mean, where do I look at on, you say they advertise, or where do they advertise? How do they advertise? When do they advertise? What do I know to look for?
Oh, so there's multiple like websites for these different attorneys that handle these foreclosures. So a most popular one is the Washington Post.
I love that. I love the online newspaper.
The public notices, Washington Post. You literally go on there, type in the Washington Post foreclosures. It'll be the first link that pops up, and literally you can look at every county, every state that you're in, like and then just pick and choose where you want to,
So some of us realtors have figured this game out too. There's websites that we buy that provide the address, how long it's been in foreclosure, and then the potential phone number, because they've done all the skip tracing. So you can then just put it into your dialer and bang through them.
Batch leads, PropStream, whatever, they all collect that data. You can use those. Those are going to be, frankly, behind the actual publications, but it's usually good data. Also, if the property the problem's been resolved, it may still show as active on your PropStream, your batch leads, whatever your software you're using. The best way is you go direct to the trustees, you go to the Washington Post. There are sites like preforeclosure.com and auction.com. Again, it's akin to Redfin, Zillow, where the data is going to be lagging by a few days or a week or two.
One of the larger attorney websites, Sam L. White.
Sam White, yeah.
Sam White, he's out of Warrenton, I think is where his office is, but if you go to Sam White and Google his name, you'll find what's available all statewide.
So do you guys just, everyone knows about foreclosures if you're in the investing field. So I've been to houses, and I'm sure you guys have too, where you see piles of letters and different mailers for some reason they called me, right? But, I feel like 1 out of 100, if that's probably a high number. It's a volume game for you, I assume, right? It's like it's part of your rotation. I'm just curious on how you guys do it, like if it's just doing that or if there's a secret sauce. For you guys.
You guys want to give all your secrets up?
I'll just say this. You got to take the stairs. You can't take the elevator. I mean, it's like you got to put in the work. I mean, it's a grind 7 days a week, truly. It's a lot.
So I can throw, and I will use Mike as an example because I know how he operates and he's one of the good ones, okay? So pretend like you're the guy and you're getting foreclosed on. What do you do most when you first have this problem? I'll tell you what I do. Even if I'm at the 7th day of the month and I haven't made my mortgage payment, who starts calling me? Well, your mortgage payment's coming up. You haven't made your payment. They're already on me with this every single day. I'm not answering their call. Now I'm 30 days late. Now I'm 60 days late. They're starting to send notices. I'm burying my head in the sand because I'm embarrassed. I don't want my friends to know. I'm just freaking out, right? Where am I going to go? Whatever the story is. You need somebody like Mike who's going to come in and ask you the soft questions first, right? Go through your sub 2 scenario. Like you're here to help somebody, not while you're intentionally trying to make money, but you're here to help them out of the situation more than just what it is. So,
yeah, I mean, Christian said it earlier. It just comes down to connecting with people, right? But to Dan's question, and your point earlier, they've got a stack this high, their phone's blowing up. It just comes down to consistency, right? Your messaging has to be consistent. I like to use multiple channels, so I'm calling and texting and sending mail and doing everything. I want them to see my name as many times as possible. A lot of people are going to call once or twice and give up. A lot of people are going to send a couple pieces of mail and give up. A lot of people might send a text or two and give up, but you've got to be consistent over the period at which that person their property is active in foreclosure, and at some point they're going to take their head out of the sand, and you want to be the one that's name's popping up when that happens. So it usually comes down to timing more than anything, not your message, not how you've delivered it. It's like you called them on the right day. We could have all three been calling them back to back to back, and they picked my phone up because I called them on Tuesday. You know what I mean? And they were whatever.
And that's the beauty of it. If you can get that appointment, you're probably going to be the only appointment.
that's right.
They don't want to share that skeletons in their closet with everybody.
Yeah.
They talk to you and they trust you.
Yeah.
They're going to sell.
Yeah, and then it's just trust and rapport building and understanding their problem and providing them with a solution. Yeah.
Well, on top of that, remember what we talked about from the very beginning. There are steps in the process. You can sell at sub 2, right? Because there's a lot of low interest rate stuff. That helps people. You can still make money on a sub 2 deal, a lot of money, right? Then there is the deed in lieu of foreclosure. Then there is the short sale, then foreclosure. So there are options for everybody. You just have to find them at the right place, right? Meet them where they're at.
There's usually a solution, and mostly comes down to time, right? How much time do we have? Did they wait until 2 days before the auction to call us, or do we have 2 months? 2 months I can work with. We can buy it cash. We can do a short sale. We can do creative finance or do something with it. But I had a guy call me on Friday. He's got an auction today. We tried to make something happen for him, get the foreclosure stopped. We weren't able to do it. He gave us 2 days. It was like, sorry, man. Like, I made an effort. I did everything I could, but you can only do so much. But let's talk a little bit about some of the issues that we run into when we're doing foreclosure deals too, right? We know short sale, hand in hand. What about probate? Probate and foreclosure. Let's talk a little bit about that.
I'm working through one right now, actually.
Yeah. Also hand in hand, right? Somebody owns a property, they die, the property passes on maybe to some heir that doesn't know about it or whatever.
Yeah.
Nobody's making the payments, now it's in foreclosure and there's probate.
Yeah.
We see this all the time, right?
Yeah. So I'm working with does anyone know what a sovereign citizen is? They do not abide by the laws of the United States. Anyways, he's a very interesting guy. But I am working with him on a property. It was going to foreclosure. I'd spoken with him a couple times, weeks before the sale. And then literally the day before the sale, he calls me and is like, I need help. And I'm like, oh, you're back. Perfect timing. Yeah, we've got like no time at all. But we were able to get the sale stopped with proof of funds, so snapshot of the bank account and then a ratified contract. I work with a title company who put together a HUD-1 really, really quickly. We sent that to the lender the day before, and they approved it. He'd been kind of talking to them, you know, like, hey, I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna get this. He had no idea if he was really gonna get it, but he ended up calling me and he got it. But, you know, he's got to go through this probate process. So he was supposed to get the will probated and get everything taken care of last week. Of course, he didn't have the $600 to get it filed. Yeah. Calls me to ask if I can pay the $600, and I was like, I'll pay it at settlement, but I'm not giving you $600 right now. But that's like another thing is that, you know, his mom owned the property. She passed away. He got the house. He couldn't make the payment, so it went into foreclosure. And thankfully, you know, he was able to postpone it for now. So we'll see if he collects his $600 somehow. I told him to start working those streets, put that little pot out, get some money. I mean,
Oh, geez.
So,
I don't know.
Gold nugget right there. Stopping a foreclosure. Let's double tap on that. One of the ways we can do that, as Tien suggested, is just with a purchase agreement, right? If we've got enough time, Tien was able to do it in a day. That's pretty good. Most banks, like the bank I was working with this week, said they needed 5 days to approve, right? So it depends on the institution that you're working with, depends on the trustee that you're working with. Most of the time, nobody seems to be in any real hurry to do anything. So we want to I like to have like 2 weeks at a minimum to feel like, okay, I can definitely get this foreclosure stopped. But a purchase agreement with a price on it that covers the mortgage, proof of funds, a settlement statement. What else do we usually provide? Maybe LLC docs, depending on if you're buying with a... You take those documents, you send it to the trustee forwards it on to the bank and says, hey, bank, this property that was going to go to foreclosure has a willing and able buyer ready. Will you postpone the sale? Most of the times, it works. Not all the times, depending, again, on the seller situation. How many times have they, you know, gone through this? How many times have they filed for bankruptcy? The bank may just say, screw this guy. I've seen him do this 15 times already. This is it. And but that's one way. What are some other ways we can stop foreclosure?
Paying off that loan, bringing it current.
Reinstatement.
Reinstatement, yeah.
Right? But you need, let's talk about that. Timeline on a reinstatement. You've got to first get the reinstatement, right? You can't just, somebody's behind $10,000 in whatever change, you can't just write the bank a check for 11 grand and say, well, I sent you 11,000. You got to call the bank, you've got to order a reinstatement. That takes 7 to 10 business days. So you need a little bit of a leeway there.
I just closed on one in 2 days over a weekend.
Sorry, let's get you on the mic real quick for that question.
I didn't know what I was doing.
Say again, Mike.
I had a guy come to me and say he needed pre-foreclosure. He's getting ready to be foreclosed on, let me see, what's today? Today's Tuesday. This would have been 2 Thursdays ago, and I bought it on Monday. All I did was I brought it up current. They owed $23,000, and so now I took over the loan, and the bank stopped it. And then I got by paying the 23, and then I was able to. Then I turned around and bought it a week after that. Right. So you don't need 5-10 days like you were saying, or am I wrong, or am I doing something different?
If he's
Sorry, who is the bank?
Who is the bank?
Winchester.
Winchester Bank. Okay, community bank, maybe a little bit different. You can just walk in there and make the payment. If you're dealing with a larger institution, Wells Fargo, SPS, SLS, whatever,
Every bank's different too.
unless they already have the reinstatement in their hands and it's good through X date, then yeah, you can make the payment. But presuming that this person's clueless, they don't know what they're doing, you've got to order a reinstatement, 5 days, 3, 5 days, depends on the bank. Then you can make the payment, but stop the foreclosure. That will stop the foreclosure.
Are there particular lenders and institutions that you especially avoid, or red flags right off the bat that you just won't ever deal with again? Are they normally big banks or small charters?
I'll let you guys answer. I have my opinions.
I would say never. I will deal with anybody to try to get a deal. I would not avoid any bank just because they're a pain. Because you don't know, you could get a good person too on the other end of that line who's working for the bank, but yeah, I would say.
Nothing?
No, I agree with Tian. I mean, every situation is different. Every deal's different. Just because one experience didn't go great, the next one could go better.
Yeah.
So.
From the real estate perspective, there are lenders that I don't necessarily like to work with. The bigger ones, there's reasons behind it because they're not local. They don't care about timelines. They just don't match the contract, right? I had one that was like, well, we're supposed to settle yesterday. We're 4 days away from even figuring out if we can do the loan. I'm like, excuse me? You've had this for 45 days. So don't work with, never mind.
In general, my opinion, the larger banks are just going to take longer to do everything,
Yes,
right?
correct.
So, yeah,
Layers.
so you have to know that going in, right? That's one of the first questions we ask off the bank. Who's the lender, right? Wells Fargo. Okay, we know we need to get to work, or we know if we've only got 2 weeks, like we're pushing it here. There are a couple that I deal with a lot that are just harder, right? SPS, Southern Portfolio Servicing, we see them a lot. They're difficult.
Mr. Cooper.
Mr. Cooper is actually who my mortgage is with. I don't have a problem with him, but I've dealt with him and had, again, to Tien's point, it's like you could talk to somebody one day and have a good experience. You talk to somebody the next day, whether it's the same opportunity or not, you have a completely different experience. But with the larger banks, it's like, it's a pain in the ass, and it's no wonder that people give up on these situations, because you call the bank and you start at square one every time you call them, and you got to have a conversation with this person, you got to give them the same information. Then they're going to kick you to somebody else in this department, then they're going to kick you to this department. And like, you've just got to know as the investor, like, this is the process, right? Either you hire somebody to do it, or you know, like, I'm expecting this phone call to take an hour.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And, but no, there's no bank that I won't work with. If there's an opportunity there, like, cool. And there's time. Any other questions? Of course, I don't know if we want to talk about deal structure. What time we got? 7:20. Does anybody have any other questions about foreclosure? Let me go back a few slides. Okay, I stopped on, actually, let me go back. We were talking about, help me out here. Talking about
Foreclosure process.
Yeah, and then potential issues.
title issues, probate.
Thank you.
Liens.
You said that.
What other, issues that we run into with foreclosures is where we were going. Liens, bankruptcies, divorce. Right, yeah.
Stop the sale, yeah.
That is something that we see all the time too, right? We have a question in the back? Yep. Speak loud, please.
So wow, that's loud. Okay. So quick question. What markets or zip codes or like counties are you seeing kind of the best margin to spreads on foreclosures right now?
Margins
Or spreads, basically.
in what counties are the best?
Where are you shopping?
I mean,
Yeah, where are you shopping? Let's go.
really, I think that question's A great question, but the spread's really just based on so many factors. It's equity, it's ARV, it's how much work is needed.
How about maybe more specific? Where are you guys each investing right now that you're very excited about?
Oh, okay. Specifically Northern Virginia, like Prince William County, Fairfax County, all of Northern Virginia, Montgomery County in Maryland, PG County, basically anywhere in Maryland and Virginia, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm more Northern Virginia focused. Some Montgomery, Maryland, Montgomery County, some Frederick County, Maryland, but mostly in Northern Virginia, Fairfax County, Prince William County. I go all the way down to Orange County, Warren, Frederick, Shenandoah.
Stafford County too.
Stafford, Spotsylvania, Fredericksburg City, Alexandria City, Arlington. I don't do anything in DC. Stay far away from there. Personal preference. You guys might. No.
County. County.
Baltimore County.
I don't even care if it's Baltimore or anything. I will stay away. There's enough. The thing is, there's enough in our own backyard.
Yeah.
It's just, are you, like Mike said, going to be consistent and get the deal? So
Baltimore County is actually really good. Yeah, great subdivisions, great little pockets there.
if you know them, yeah, he's good though. He knows all the little subdivisions in Maryland.
I think that is relevant though, because like you're 100%, you're like 60% of your volume is foreclosures, and at any given time in Warren County, what do we have? Six?
Not that many, yeah.
Like, so when we're flipping and we're trying to grab these distressed properties, and it's just a completely different ballgame.
Yeah, and then you got Loudoun County that might have a good amount, but almost none of them really, I mean, go. Yeah, none of them are really our deals. I mean, so.
By volume, I would think Prince William's probably up there by volume of number of foreclosures. I'm trying to think of anything really that even competes with it. Fairfax probably, but again, more affluence.
PG County.
I don't really mess around in Maryland, so I don't know. I don't mess around in DC. I don't mess around in PG or that side of DC. Shoot, what was I going to say? Oh, the more affluent counties, I think in general are just, it's a harder demographic, more affluent, more resourceful, I would say. Like they figure out ways to get themselves out of these situations a lot more. It's not that there aren't opportunities there, but I tend to focus on some of the further out counties out this way, south, Prince William and south, eastern Panhandle, West Virginia, a little bit in Maryland, kind of that part of Maryland too that touches West Virginia, Frederick County.
I was just wondering why TN said no DC.
Ooh. Oh.
I think DC is very strict in terms of their laws. They're very not as investor friendly, and things there take forever. So if you were to get a permit, it takes forever. Then you've got funding issues, like if it's a first-time home buyer. I think they're still doing the HPAP thing. So it's just the majority of investors I know, who even their experience, they all have lost money one way or another in DC. And sometimes it's just things taking forever, like going through their permit process.
Tenants' rights.
Tenants' rights. Try getting
DC,
somebody out in
Yeah,
DC.
you can live there almost a year in some cases. Yeah, some cases where you won't get them out of the house. So.
Well, I'll touch on that a little bit. I mean, I'll be honest. You just got to know what you're doing, to be honest with you. Like, if you have the connections and the resources to go ahead and execute a project there, you can get it done. The only reason I'm saying that is because we don't actually buy directly in DC, but we wholesale a lot in DC actually. So we have a lot of buyers that are moving, doing deals there. And these guys, I mean, they have like their processes to a T. Like they got somebody that works with DCRA that can pull permits and get things out, pretty quickly. So it's like you just have to know what you're doing, to be honest with you. But the tenant thing, that is a headache. It's actually killing the wholesale deal that we have right now. It's crazy. Yeah.
I have 2 deals in DC. I just want to make sure I didn't miss the memo.
No, you're good. No, you're gonna be fine. No, the other thing too is your buy price. So like, you make your money in the buy side, right? Yeah. So as long as you bought it right, it's fine. Yeah, like 50% minimum, like of the ARV. I wouldn't pay any more than that, but
And let me know if you're looking for more in DC. Yeah, we'll talk. Yeah.
keep us posted. Yeah.
Nice. Any other questions? That's kind of all I really wanted to touch on today. I think we did a good job covering foreclosure and short sale. Are we good on questions? Go ahead.
What is your guys' experiences at actual physical auctions? Because we all talk about the pregame is where it's at now. It used to be we got to go to the court.
I'll repeat. Question was, what is the experience at the actual physical auction?
Yeah, I think that people that have never been should go experience it.
Yeah.
You know, and go see what it feels like to go and watch them do the thing on the courthouse steps. What do you guys mess with that, or are you just all?
Have you been to it?
Yeah. So my experience lately, right? I think I went to one maybe like 3 months ago, just to check it out. And prior to that, I think the last time was like a year before that. But it wasn't the best, to be honest with you. I mean, there's a lot of people there that go sometimes that don't necessarily know what they're doing, in my opinion. And certain properties where, I mean, if you go into an auction, you got to have your data ready, right? You got to know what properties you're targeting. Don't just go in blind. Like, you're there for XYZ properties, and that's what you're there for, right? So you got to, that's another thing. But exactly, right, obviously. And then, but the last thing that I was going to say is, like, right now, my experience when I just went, I think this was in January, like, there was a property we were targeting in Dale City. We tried to, we were working with the homeowner. The homeowner was actually out of the country. Unfortunately, we couldn't stop the foreclosure in time. We knew the loan balance on that thing was like 265. The RV is like 480. We came in prepared. We had a number in mind that was going to be our max. Somebody came in and outbid us, and they paid $395,000 on it. I mean, we can't compete with that at all, but now that was in Prince William County, right? So, I mean, my experience recently, I don't think it's the best. I think really you want to try to get that property way before it even gets there. But I mean, if you have to, just make sure you're targeting,
Banks bid against you, a lot of the time. So they're saying we want a minimum threshold, so they're still bidding up.
Yeah.
That's what frustrates me.
Yeah.
Well, think about as a real estate agent, I have had thousands of clients come to me and say, we want to buy something, we want a deal, just like an investor, right? And, so then they don't understand the game that we play every single day. Let's go to the auction. So they go to the auction, I go to this auction. You can't see the house until the auction the day of, right? So then they walk in the house and they go, oh, I didn't realize it was like this. And then they go, I'm going to pay half, right? So then they come in, they see the first bid, $100,000, and then it goes to 7, and then it goes to 9, and then they're like, well, what did we do? I'm like, what do you mean, what did we do? We went to the auction, man. It was cool, right? Like, we're here. We think we're getting a deal. Nobody's gonna show up to this thing because it's cheap, right? There's listings that pop up on Zillow all the time, $100,000. And it just says auction price to start bid, right? Well, can I offer that? Of course you can. Go ahead.
If you want to lose.
You're going to lose. And then, oh, by the way, you have to pay 10% on top of that, right? So whatever it gets to, then you have to pay the buyer's funding fee or whatever it's called at 10% above that. So you're not necessarily getting a deal at that point. So let's just go the route that I'm telling you. Let's get away from this stuff and go this way. I'll find you a deal that's going to work for you and your family.
Yeah, and I'll say the Prince William County courthouse auctions, definitely if you guys, I don't know if anyone's ever been, sounds like some people may have, but expect to see like 30 bidders there and expect there to be 1 or 2 people who consistently get the properties every single time. And I started going to, because Prince William was so saturated, and I don't go to auctions anymore, but there was one house in particular I really wanted in Culpeper, so I went to that auction. I was like, oh, there's going to be like no one there. Well, yeah, it turns out the same people in Prince William who picked up all the Prince William properties every single time were in Culpeper and picked up the property. So yeah, there's just, it's.
Do you feel like they're overpaying to keep you out of the game?
Oh, I think they're money laundering, but yeah, I don't know. But
Legit. I mean, I think that's
No, it's true.
The other thing too, if you do like go to an auction to bid and you see, oh my gosh, you know, the foreclosing trust is 60,000, that's probably a second trust. So if you see like a super low amount, so just know that you could be on the hook for paying that first trust too. Maybe only the first one's closing, but you now own that property and owe that second trust and now the first. So you got to really, you know, do your research like they're saying and understand all that stuff.
Good question.
Yeah.
Similar experience, not interested, been there, done that, feels like a, I don't know.
It's like a cattle call.
Yeah,
you know,
I don't,
another
I mean,
way, so.
it's worse than the market to me. It's like,
But if you want to go one
There's-
time for the experience,
yeah,
right?
it's cool. It's a good way to meet other investors. Actually, occasionally there are other people. I've met some people at auctions that actually may be
It's
in this
nice
room.
in our town. We have coffee shops nearby.
Yeah, but
The beer place, not that you drink, but
Also, like I used to go because I used to work right outside the auction where they had the auctions in Prince William County, and so I would, before I even, you know, got my license, I would just sit out there during my lunch break and take notes and talk to the auctioneer and ask him questions, and just I learned so much that way too.
yeah, it's a good way to network and,
So.
and just experience the game a little bit. But there's definitely pros out there or money launderers or whatever. I don't know. It feels like that for sure.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Okay. Well, I want to leave some time for networking, and I want to give Tien and Christian a big round of applause. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you to our sponsors as well. Joel and his team at Absolute Altitude. I don't know that we have anybody else here except for us.
Yeah,
Southland is Southland?
Southland.
Southland, thank you. Lemon and Hail not here. We're also looking for additional partners, sponsors, if anybody's interested in sponsoring the group, helping us grow, helping us build community. We did actually just pick up a new sponsor, by the way. ADIS is going to sponsor us, our title partner.
Woo! ADIS title.
Envision.
Yeah.
And next week, we're actually talking about wholesale and creative finance. So next month, I'm sorry. On top, to follow up our conversation on foreclosure and short sale, next month, wholesale and creative finance. So excited about that. We've got Naya coming out. I'm sure many of you know Naya. I'm still trying to lock up one other guest. What's up?
We wanted to kind of kick
Oh, yeah,
out the
yeah, I've got it.
ideas
I think I've
about
got it.
July. Yeah.
No, I don't have a slide for it. Shit. Okay, well, let me go back to this one. In our follow-up email, we will have a code to sign up. In July, we're going to move events. We're going to go to one of Gage's really awesome properties closer into town. We're going to do a barbecue. We're going to do networking. We're going to have some additional vendors come out. The topic is building your dream team. So we're trying to get some other vendors to come out. If anybody's interested in sponsoring that, come talk to us. But it'll be like a little on the earlier side, like 4 o'clock we'll get started. Barbecue, food, music, hang out, network, vendors. Be a good time. Look for the email. There was supposed to be a slide to sign up, and I think we dropped the ball on that. But thank you all for being here. Please spend some time, eat the food, hang out. We've got some time to network, and we hope to see you all next month. Thank you. Appreciate you.